Hello everybody, welcome to Scribbles with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Rector. You can check out my website and my work at jonathanrector.com. And as you can see, we're jumping right back into part 2 here of, finishing up Deckard Cain from Diablo 3. And I thought I'd do something a little different in this video. I tried to render the video out so it'd be around 10 minutes or so that I can answer some of your guys' questions. And the questions I'm going to answer, there's just 3 of them here. They were left by you users on YouTube, so thank you so much. And actually, these questions come from the very first part 1 of the Deckard Cain sketch. And if you wanted to see this right from the beginning, you can just check, I don't know if we're going to have an annotation, or you can just check the description. It might be a little easier that way. And you can just watch part 1, and then you can jump into part 2 here. But depending on how long I ramble on, I'm almost into a minute here, and I haven't really started talking about anything yet. I think everything's pretty much self-explanatory. Just very quickly, all I'm doing is just basically continuing on from the last drawing the rest. As you saw at the beginning there, I was fixing his head. I still think I adjust it some more. It's still a little too wonky, and I shrink the eye as well. Yeah, as you can see right there, I'm moving the head because it's really bothering me. And I am using Manga Studio as well. So first question here, and some of these are not really questions, but you'll see. This one is a good example of it. It's kind of a concern, but they were just saying that every time they go to my website, jonathanrector.com, Google stops it or wherever they're saying, and they say there's a virus. And that's actually been happening for a while. There's no virus that I'm aware of, but for some reason it's doing that. And I don't know when you guys will be watching this video, but my website may be down at that time. I'm in the transition stages of getting a new server or a new hosting and all that good stuff. And my website is in dire need of an update. So it's on the back burner. It's something I have to get done soon. So I apologize, but if you did go to my website and there's a virus there, from what I know, there isn't. I'm not a big tech guy. I don't know why else it would say that. But I just wanted to bring it to you guys' attention, and I am aware of it, and thanks. Another question was, I'm a Photoshop person too, and I want to make the switch to Manga Studio, but the jagged lines drive me nuts for some reason. Was that hard for you to deal with too? And great vids, by the way. Thank you for that. And as you can see, I'm using Manga Studio, and you guys might not be able to notice it, but the lines are jaggy. 2 things I noticed that can fix that. If you work at a higher resolution, the jagged lines start to disappear pretty quick. This image, if I remember correctly, and I default all of it to this from now on, is a 600 DPI image. And the other reason why it's all jaggedy is because you're actually drawing in a bitmap form. It's literally just black and white. There's no gray. In Photoshop, when you're drawing, there's a little bit of it looks softer, looks smoother. And that's because if you zoom right in, the pixels, there's actually white pixels, black pixels, and gray pixels. And in comic book art, once you print, today's day and age, most printers, from what I hear, can, obviously print in gray. But back in the day, everything was printed in black and white. So, all that gray needed to get kicked out. And what some people do, and I do as well in Photoshop, is once I'm done drawing, as I draw, I will change the image to a bitmap. And I can show you guys that in another video if you're interested in that. But you can play around with the threshold and stuff. So it starts to look a little bit more closer to something that you like, so it doesn't look like it's, sharp, jaggy crap. And actually a third point is, even though it's all jaggy and stuff, if you have a house printer, or if you have a printer available to you, actually print that image out. What you'll find is that those jaggy lines actually disappear very quickly, and it actually looks much crisper and smoother. So in Manga Studio here, like I said, this is a 600 DPI image, so those lines are much more fine. But if I were to print it, it's going to look very smooth. I've done some test prints myself just to make sure. And if you feel a little iffy about it, definitely do that. Take the time to just do a couple print copies before you spend hours and hours in like Manga Studio or something, and it ends up looking like garbage. That's not good. But if you do like 1 or 2 quick test runs, you'll find very quickly that it's something that you can enjoy. And what's also really cool is, because this is saving as a bitmap image, if you wanted to color this, you just take this file into Photoshop, let's say, and if you wanted to use the magic wand tool to do quick fills, it's going to select all the white. There's no gray, and it makes coloring much easier. The colorist that I have for the hero code that's working with me, Heather Breckel, I actually sent her an email, and I don't know if Heather's watching. Hello if you are. And what I had asked her before was, once I started sending bitmap images, I wanted to know from the colorist point of view if it was helping them to get that bitmap image, or if they would prefer the grays and all that stuff. And from what I remember her telling me is, it saved her quite a bit of time being able to, just do those quick fills, do all that stuff. There's no, guesswork and all that stuff. I'm not 100% the best colorist out there or the most efficient. So that kind of genre I'm not really into, but I can always look into, some of my comic book making friends for questions that you guys might have. So again, if if you got any questions, feel free to just toss them in there. And I think that's about it for this question. I'm not sure if I think I'm missing something. Usually how it goes. And then the very last one was somebody was asking if I was going to start up any podcasts again, and they understand how much work I have and all that good stuff. I would very much love to be able to get a podcast going again. I miss the Sketchbook podcast that Charlie Harper and I had. I had done some, I've done some interviews and stuff on other podcasts, but, there's always something really cool about hanging out with people on one night and having a podcast recording, talking about comics and art and all that stuff, and just being surrounded. And if you could surround yourself by like-minded people that are in your field, whether it's comic books, art in general, all that stuff, I find that your energy spikes. It's something to be interested in. For myself, I'm usually just surrounded with the crappy day job. Most of my friends have moved on because I've stuck with comics and drawing so much, and I've kind of hermitized myself. And I don't mean to get that into a depression or make everybody feel sad for me kind of thing. This is my choice. This is what the path I'm going down. And I'm assuming if I'm doing that, then there's got to be a few of you out there that are experiencing the same thing or going through the same stuff. So, like, another thing that I'm trying to get into is trying to find if there's any sketch clubs around. Like, people just get together on, like, a one day a week or something, and you just draw. It's not a competition. It's not, who's got the bigger pencil, all that crap. It's just about, being around people that are into the same kind of stuff. And, most of us out there that have a couple friends, whether you play video games together or anything like that, you probably know what I'm relating to, that kind of stuff. So thanks again for the questions. Looks like we still got about 3 minutes left, so I can just go ahead and ramble on here. So I'm just adding some rendering here, adding some shadow here to his beard. I feel like I could have pushed this some more, but it is a sketch. I didn't want to spend all day doing all this stuff. And what I'm really finding out here through Manga Studio is I used to draw like this a lot, where I would consider this some heavy rendering, like all that right there is some pretty heavy rendering, all in that cloth right there, you can see at the bottom right, it's all textured out. But in Manga Studio, it's quicker. I'm able to get that fresh line in there that Photoshop makes me struggle with a little bit. However, there are some things that I really do enjoy about Photoshop, and I really need to get back to doing that Photoshop versus Manga Studio video. Little discussion video that I wanted to talk about with you guys and girls out there, because they have both have their pluses and minuses. I just need to make a list so I can show you guys, so I'm not rambling like I usually do about why I would prefer one or the other. But this kind of rendering, this old school, I don't want to say old school, but like 90s style comic book style, where it's all like, I don't want to say overkill, but there's a lot going on here. I haven't really done this kind of style drawing in professional comic book work for a while, and when I want to get around to doing my own book, whether it's God Slayer, the new Jessup King book that I'll be doing this month actually, or what is it? It's June, so in July I'll be doing that. You guys have probably seen tons of videos of that coming up. I want to go back into Manga Studio just to keep playing around. The line art is much different in here than how I do it in Photoshop, and you guys could probably tell. Actually, if you look at when you're done watching this, if you want, you could rewind all the way to the very beginning of this video, and there's a picture of the Standard. That's a comic book I'm working on, where he's flying at us, and it looks very simple, and the rendering and the shading, I don't actually think there is rendering, but the shading and the block shadows and all that stuff in there, that's how I've been drawing lately. It looks very different than what I'm drawing right now, and in Photoshop, what I'm doing right now, I can do this. It pops. It's easier in Manga Studio, I find. And so I'll just keep messing around with that. And actually, my buddy Cannon White, he's been posting some stuff that he's been doing digitally in the new Photoshop with a pencil tool, and that looks very promising stuff there. But yeah, so just adding some more details, some more garbage. I don't know what else. I think I'm just about to toss my signature on here in a second. I was going to dress the background up a bit, add some black, but I figured, I'd just draw the picture and get out, man. Alright, so it looks like it's about it for the video. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time and all that good stuff. If you guys wanted to share, thumbs up the video, that'd be fantastic. Until next time, keep making comics, keep reading comics. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.